screaming heavy metal! We rock!
But the evil that men do lives on.
We gonna bang your head!
You are now listening to the Music Mania podcast, a hard-hitting show featuring all things hard rock and heavy metal. And now here are your hosts, the Twins of Chaos, Clint Switzer and Paul Lagana.
So rise again, Music Mania podcast. It's Clint Switzer and Paul Lagana, and today we are being joined by a very special guest that we're going to get to in just a moment, Mr. Mike Tramp of White Lion. Paul, one of the great frontmen of the 80s, definitely one of the better looking frontmen of the 80s, and Mike is making his third appearance here on this show. I mean, this is going to be your first time speaking with him, man. This is going to be great. So glad to have him on.
I can't wait, Clint. I mean, Mike Tramp, to me, epitomized frontman of the 80s. To me, they didn't get the credit that they deserved, I thought. They were more along the lines of, like maybe a Steelheart or Great White, maybe something like that. But to me, they were top five for me.
They were different. I mean, When the Children Cry was their big ballad that was not a sappy love song. White Lion was different. They were not an LA band. They were a New York band. And I think I'd put them a notch above, maybe a Steelheart, maybe even Great White. It's tough. You got the tiers of 80s hair metal, as we always put it. You've got the really the Motley Crue's, Bon Jovi's, Def Leppard's, Poison's even, and then kind of maybe the notch below with like the Dawkins, Warrant, maybe
Right.
White Lions kind of in that category, but they had the four really big albums, and Pride was huge for them and really big game. But they had those big MTV hits. They had the look. So, of course, yeah, they were an 80s hair band. You could say that. But Mike is doing a solo acoustic tour right now. Going to be hitting Kansas City, the Scene Rock Bar, coming up September 14th. Don't want to miss that. And Mike, he seems to be in a great place, man. He's doing his thing. He's not trying to go out and reinvigorate the old White Lion name with no original band members. He's out there doing his thing, and you can't fault him for that. He was here a year ago. Great to have him back here in Kansas City.
Absolutely. And to me, White Lion back in the 80s were just incredible for me. I mean, like you said, When the Children Cry.
Little Fighter's always been my favorite White Lion song.
Yeah,
Little Fighter. I love that. I mean, you had Wait, you had Hungry, Broken Heart. They had a lot of really big hits, but I think that, and we were talking before, we started recording, how critically, they just never got the credit. I mean,
I never.
Vito Bratta on guitar was a monster. James Lomenzo. I mean, they had a really good band.
Like I said before, the credit that I felt that they deserved, I didn't think they got. So I can't wait to talk to him about that. And as you said, I haven't talked to him yet, but I cannot wait.
Yeah, we were able to interview him in person last year when he was here on his tour, and then a couple years ago he did our very first, I think, Music Mania podcast was actually with Mike Tramp, and we can't thank him enough. It's because of people like Mike Tramp that gave us a shot, gave us an interview, believed that we were, not going to be ridiculous or be screw ups or, just be generally, ask ridiculous questions, that because of people like Mike Tramp, definitely Jeff Pilson early on, because of that, that's where the podcast is today. And we can't thank you, the fans, enough for listening, because we love to bring you these guests each and every week. It's our pleasure, and just keep listening. Hit us up on our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Thanks for downloading, man, on iTunes, YouTube. We love to hear the interaction. We love to hear from you guys, the fans. That's what's important to us.
Absolutely. And we love bringing this to you guys, and we appreciate every single thing that you guys let us know about.
And it is our pleasure to once again welcome one of our favorite guests back to the Music Mania podcast, Mr. Mike Tramp, who has just returned to America, getting ready to step forth on another big tour. Mike, welcome to the show. How's everything going? It's great to have you back, man.
Great to be back. Thanks for wanting to listening to me.
Oh, absolutely. It's just great to have you back in America. I know you're out in LA right now getting ready to set forth on this acoustic tour, but you're starting the tour in New York, so you got a ways to go to get this thing started, man.
Well, yeah, I just fly into New York, but I got all my gear here. I got my guitar and how it was before I go back to Europe, I'll lead stuff here. So, it's easy just to come into LA and do a couple of things. Plus, I had to do the album cover photo session for the next album and, kind of stuff taken care of.
Well, you talk about the next album, but Nomad just came out last summer, and it was just a really good album. Kind of set forth a trilogy for the albums you've done with Museum and Cobblestone Street. So, what's this next one going to be like? Kind of a new direction, or just kind of going off of those other three?
No. The last what you just said. I mean, I am where I want to be. I'm not going anywhere else. It's not about finding new frontiers or inventing tomorrow, stuff like that. I'm a classic rock artist, and I just wanted a trilogy just to kind of build me back up to where I wanted to do, which was like Cobblestone Street and Museum. Took those kind of steps it did, and then on Nomad, which is the album that I tour on now, is a full band album. It's just going through that process makes you feel really good when you finally arrive to where you're aiming at.
Well, this has just been great. The shows have been critically acclaimed here in America. You're returning actually to the scene in Kansas City September 14th, so we want to publicize that, guys. Definitely come back and check that out. You were here last March where we got to kind of hang out and talk a little bit. And what I didn't realize about you, Mike, is you are very adept to kind of American politics and social things. I mean, and there's just been a lot going on here in America, Mike. I mean, my gosh, since you've been gone, there's just been a lot of, and most of it negative, unfortunately, but I know that you love this country and what it stands for, and a lot of your lyrics in White Lion and Now are just so positive, but what do we do here? I mean, we got an election coming up. Things just aren't going great right now here in America, man.
Well, it's kind of like sometimes how you have to look at your own career. You have to go outside the house and look in through the windows, and it's like, I lived in the UFC for 21 years, and then later on I moved to Australia, and then finally, on the journey, I sort of returned back home to where I was born and raised in Denmark. And now, when I wake up in the morning, I start, with CNN and Fox News, and there are times when I almost cannot get going with the day because I've been loaded up with so much bullshit, and because in the end, I don't really believe what's being told to us, because everything has to have a big headline for people to react to it. Everything has to have some sort of shock value. I mean, why do I need to wake up in the morning to see a clip of a woman in China being eaten by a tiger? It's not really exactly going to help my day and stuff like that. And they're going back with Hillary and Trump back and forth like that, or Black Lives Matter, or cop killing, stuff like that, and you just go, holy cow, where is life going? Where's life taking us? Who is following this news? And in a lot of situations, you do understand that it's really just a little street corner where this happened on, but it's been blown up to that this is on every street corner of the United States. And of course, we know that's not the truth. But it's very alarming, and I don't have the answer. I just know that sometimes when I get pulled into this, it takes me a lot of time to get out of it, and it's incredibly dangerous.
It is, and I guess we can just hope that things get a little better here in the future. I know there's this election coming up. Not really a fan of either candidate here, so I don't really know where to go with that. I don't know if you have a...
None of the above, Mike.
It's a lesser of two evils. You know that one has to be elected and stuff like that, but you know what? Everybody's putting the focus on two people. They're the two new people getting in there, but let's not forget that there is a government that has messed it up for the last many years, and so on. So now you just got two people come in that you focus that they're the two people that's going to change it all. The government and the world and everything is so messed up around the world, and most people don't have time to feed the kids, go to the work, and come back home to follow what really is going on. And that's just really where the danger is. People are badly informed about the situation, stuff like that. So I really don't think it's really going to matter in whoever it's going to be, because there's still a Senate, there's still a government sitting behind making some of the decisions.
Absolutely, Mike, and we absolutely appreciate anything that you've got for us. So on that front, but well,
I just try to survive myself and find out if there's a happy place where I can enjoy playing the music and enjoying being with people and not getting up every day and stuff like that. And I know I'm sucking myself into this because I'm letting it happen. And now, finally I'm getting out to play the music and being with some good people and seeing the country that I love and some good people. So it's going to be very good.
Yeah, and absolutely so. And I tell you, Mike, one thing about you and getting back to kind of your tour and kind of what you do, I want to make people, make sure people are clear that, when you come into their town, man, you are such a proponent of the music. You love music. Your acoustic sets are kind of a mixture of your solo material and some White Lion classics. I mean, how gratifying is it for you? Because this is such a different whirlwind for you. You're driving around mostly by yourself. If I remember right, you're like driving around by yourself, touring the country. You come up, and this has just got to be such a different whirlwind for you than it was in the 80s. Big arenas, big tours, a lot of debauchery. But now it's just such a different time. I mean, how great is it for you? And it's got to be really gratifying for you to be able to do this right now.
Well, it's incredible gratifying, but I wouldn't have predicted that 25 years ago that this is where I would end up. Basically, this is a complete full circle where I sort of return back to how I was raised and how I started writing songs. It just happens that most people in the United States that followed the rock and roll in the 80s knows me as one thing. And, a small selection of them have chosen to follow the artist and seeing the artist both grow but also return in a way to the true self of the artist. And now it's not just what I want to do, it's also basically just the reality of this is the only thing that I can do. I mean, I can't tour the United States with a band, or there really ain't a budget for it and stuff like that. So I'm happy that I'm able to go around and feel completely confident and offer a show, which is sort of more like, storytelling with a guitar and just bringing people in, because you can go back home and put on the old albums, and you can turn on YouTube and you can watch some of the videos from the 80s. Now when you come to the club, and in most cases there'll be 100 people there, you're just being taken in and being told some other sides of the story that you didn't know, and it's great to be there because I'm comfortable with where I am in life right now. Listen, we could all want more. There's no doubt about it. There could still be more money in the bank. I could still have a better life. But overall, I'm very confident as who I am as a human being. I don't search or strive for anything else but what I am, and I'm not going anywhere else.
Well, Mike, I know you've been on the show before, but actually I haven't had a chance to talk to you. So I was just kind of curious about, back in the 80s when you had that success with Fight to Survive, Pride, Big Game, and Main Attraction. To me, they didn't really get the critically acclaimed success that I thought they should have. So could you talk a little bit about that and what your feeling was on that?
Well, I mean, looking back, we have all the answers. We all know where we should be putting the ball. We already know, where the defense should go and something like that. Back then, we did exactly what we knew at that time. And the business did exactly what they knew at that time. And, sometimes you forget in reality how lucky you were that you were the band that got signed, that you were the band that on one radio station in Minneapolis in 1987 took a chance and played Wait, and the response from the audience was that great. And next week, a station in San Diego did the same, and suddenly it was wildfire across the United States. It could have gone the opposite way because basically after 4 or 5 months on the road, the record company had sort of given up. So the band and its song broke the band, and after that, the record company was great at selling the albums like a big machine. At that time, we only did what we knew at that time, and every morning when we woke up, it would be a new day where we would learn. And at times, we thought we maybe knew more than we did, but we went with it. Now, when you look back, you somehow maybe wish that you had some better advisors, some people that could explain to you that in the future things would change and nothing would last. But when somebody told me that maybe I should save some money up for retirement, I didn't want to hear about it because I was 27 years old and I had just got money in my bank for the first time in my life.
And that goes for, I'm sure, a lot of bands from that era where success came so fast and furious. But I think a lot of people, what people don't realize, White Lion you know, and Mike, I've told you this. We've met before. We've hung out. We've had a beer together. White Lion is one of my favorite bands of all time. And I think what people don't realize, when you've got Vito Bratta on guitar, James Lomenzo on bass, Greg D'Angelo, this is the classic lineup. That band is as just talented musically as you will find in that era. And I think that's what, Paul just alluded to as far as the lack of critical acclaim. That band was absolutely on fire, and your vocals are as, as recognizable as any in rock. I mean, that's the case.
I appreciate that, but you also got to understand that when you look back at the 80s right now, everything is put into one box. And so everybody with blonde hair, long blonde hair and a microphone in the hand gets judged as one person. It doesn't matter if it's Vince Neil, Bret Michaels, Mike Tramp, or Sebastian Bach. We're all just one. You're digging deep in, and you understand that White Lion stood very far from any Sunset Strip band. We were a New York band coming out of a freezing basement with a completely different form of songwriting. The lyrics based upon that I was raised European and had a bigger outlook on life just shows that I didn't want to sing about tits and ass. I didn't want to sing about beer and stuff like that. But in the middle of the 80s, we all looked the same on MTV. So it's kind of hard to make that claim at that time that you're different. When you now are grown older and the fans go back, and those that really want to dig deep into the music and analyze that, yes, there is a great difference between Poison and White Lion or Warrant, but it really doesn't matter anymore. It's up to each individual person of what they like, and I'm not certainly going to get any more credit by saying that, but we know that when all radio stations make, programs around the country calling House of Hair, or Here Are They Now, or whatever it is, they all put everything into one box. If you pull out the individual albums, you will understand that one thing is what's on the cover, and another thing is what's on the vinyl, or the cassette tape, or the CD. And I'm proud to have been, 50% of the songwriting team of White Lion and the legacy we left behind with the songs, and those are the songs that I now go out and play on an acoustic guitar and take people back, and you will hear the quality of the songs and the lyrics when they're just performed by just me.
No doubt about it, and I want to talk a little bit about the lyrics, because to me that actually sets you guys apart, I think, from a lot of the 80s bands. For instance, When the Children Cry, I mean, what a deep song that was. Just talk a little bit about the lyrics, and you had alluded to that you were 50%. What went into the lyrics of basically all those albums?
Well, it's not like I sat and researched a lot of this kind of stuff. It's kind of just, without putting anyone down, being raised in Denmark, which is a very, very country that's aware of the world, and we're getting fed that from early age, I was much more aware of any issues going on in the world than when I came to the United States and I started playing with my band members, where some of them had never even seen the ocean, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, But the thing is that in 1985, when I sit in New York writing this song by myself and starting with these lines, and then now you jump 31 years later.
Yep.
And you go, the lyrics means more today than they meant back there in 1985. Ronald Reagan was the president. Russia was definitely the enemy, if you look at it politically. And at the same time, America was in a pretty good state. People were overall happy. We didn't have all this bullshit that's going on today. They were kind of like people were following basically, logic and stuff like that. That a song can last that long and still mean more today and stronger today is the strength of the words. And it's not like the words are brilliant. They're just honest, true facts.
Absolutely. And Mike, I tell you what, I always just get so much out of talking to you and get such a positive outlook. That's always what I have. I mean, you look great. The shows are wonderful. I mean, you just are in such a good place. You can just tell. And I mean, you got a different perspective. You got a few kids now and married, I believe. And just, I mean, gosh, you talk about 31 years later. I mean, what your life has changed so much in that time, and to have kids, it gives you perspective, doesn't it?
Of course. Now, actually, for the second time, my oldest son Dylan, who just turned 22 and just finished his bachelor degree, is joining me for the whole U.S. tour. And we sat last night and talked about when he was born in L.A. in '94, and how everything was at that time. And now we're here today, and we're going across the country and stuff like that. You know, life is not easy for me. When I wake up in the morning, I don't even know where I am in my soul, because I now live by a famous line from one of my songwriting heroes, Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy, and that is, my home is where my heart is, but my heart is not at home.
Right.
And I'm never home. I'm never home. I now live in a triangle, because I'm born and raised one place where I live. My wife and 2 other children at some other place, and my oldest son is the third place. So I tell you what, man, this is where life sometimes leads you when you take a chance. I jumped on a ship when I was 16 years old and sailed across the 7 oceans, and you pay the price somehow down the road.
That is very, very true, and you know, I'm just glad to hear your son's coming out with you. That's awesome. I know I'd read some stuff that he'd been doing a lot of good work, you know, on his own to get to this point. So, I mean, Mike, before we let you go, I mean, on a lighter note, because we always wind up talking about serious subjects, but you, I know this, you're a big Dallas Cowboys fan. Okay, now Dallas, they're one of those polarizing teams in the NFL. That either you love them or hate them. You're a fan. They came 2 years ago nearly to the Super Bowl. And then last year it was a disaster with Romo getting hurt. What's going to happen to your Cowboys this year? And since you're going to be in America for a little while, are you going to be able to go catch a game at some point?
Yeah, you know, sports have changed so much, man, since I grew up. I mean, I tell you the truth to the listeners out there. The reason why the Dallas Cowboys became my team is it's the first NFL game I saw in 1982 when I came to America, and Dallas were playing. I can't remember who they were playing, but they just became my team. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's a big difference in growing up in Dallas and it being your team there than being someone from Copenhagen, Denmark, that choose Dallas Cowboys. Of course, it doesn't mean the same thing to me anymore, like when I lived here and I was able to sit and have, you know, all the games right in front of me every single weekend and stuff like that. Now it's just about, and you know, it almost seems like teams are not what they used to be. Sport is not what it used to be. It's a bunch of individuals on contracts, you know, doing their duty, where it felt like more in the old days people were really playing a little bit more for the passion and from where they came from than really about how much bling they can wear and how big cars they can play. And the same goes with Premier League soccer in Europe, which of course is what what grew up with, and which is my passion. It just seems like it's mercenaries. It's not teammates anymore.
Absolutely, yeah. And Paul, my partner here, he's like your exact age, and he always says, I'm only 32. Paul's 52 coming up. He always says the same thing. And I go, hey, you know, it's not so bad. And he goes, hey, back in my day, back in the 70s and 80s, that was when it was better. So, hey, maybe there's something to this. I'm going to concede to you guys on this, I guess.
There's no doubt about it, Mike.
But you know, everything in life always ends up with a dollar.
It does.
Every decision that's made, if it's made with sending an army overseas, or if it's electing someone to office, it always comes down to the end of the day of putting Kiss on stage. It has everything to do with the mighty dollar. It is the root to all evil.
It absolutely is. But I tell you what, Mike, we're just so excited. And I told you when we did our interview in person last time, I talked about how my girlfriend that I took to Rocklahoma 07 wanted to leave me for you. Now, I'm not going to be bringing her to the acoustic show September 14th because we just can't have history repeating itself. But I'm so excited for that show. September 14th, guys, it's at the Scene, Kansas City. And I want everyone to go to the Scene, Kansas City on Facebook and figure out how to get tickets. And, of course, MikeTramp.dk, I believe, is the website to find out all the tour dates for you, correct?
Mike Tramp Facebook, Mike's official Facebook, Mike Tramp official.
Absolutely. Mike, Paul and I are going to be there September 14th. We're going to come say hello, hopefully have a beer with you, because it's been a year and a half since we've seen you, and it's going to be great to hit up this show. We're going to bring a lot of people with us, and we're so excited to have you back. And guys, the tour runs all the way through October in America, and then back, I believe, to Europe after that. So busy couple months coming up for you, Mike, and we're just so happy for you, man. We love it, and you're a brother to us. You're just our favorite guest. In fact, you just surpassed, I believe, Jeff Pilson, and you're now the most frequent guest here on the Music Mania podcast. So congratulations for that too.
I appreciate that. Some people get up in the morning to go mow somebody else's lawn. I get up and I play the guitar and sing, and I hope to make some people happy. I'm looking forward to get back to Kansas and just do what I do and just share it with the people. One thing for sure is that I invite people into my soul. So when I am done with the show, you know who I am.
Absolutely, Mike. Can't wait to come say hello again. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
hey, safe travels out there for you and your son, and let's rock it out there, man. We'll see you in September.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Mike.
Appreciate it.
Clint, Mike Tramp, unbelievable.
Hey, the third time's the charm. 3 times to have him on this show. It's a pleasure. He's man, I consider him a rock and roll blood brother, man. It's been I think 4 years since we last had him on the podcast. We got to meet him in person, do an interview just last year and a half ago. But to have him on here to hear those stories, and Mike's a very politically driven guy. He has a lot of things to say about politics. And I don't know a whole lot about politics, but Mike really brings it. Hey, and he comes from your school of thought, man. He's a Cowboys fan, but he loves sports the way maybe they used to be. You and him are kindred spirits in that regard.
Right. What he said about back in the 80s, the politics at that time with Ronald Reagan, he was right. The 80s were a happy place back then. And, today, not so much. But you know what? For Mike Tramp,
thanks, Stained.
Well, for Mike Tramp, like you said, he is in a great place right now, and the stories that he alluded to were unbelievable.
Yeah, and he's got his son out with him, man. And I tell you what, I was shocked. Last year, whenever we had our interview scheduled with Mike at the venue, we got there to do the interview, and Mike pulled up just in a rental car himself with his gear in the back. He comes out, hey, let's do it. He had been on the road. I think he had driven a couple hours from where he drives all over the country to do this. It's unbelievable. He's on the road for months on end, just in a car. Hey, I'm jealous. That's Paul. We've been on the road for 8-9 days at a time. I want to do it for 3 months.
Well, he
Mike.
loves what he does, Clint. And, for me, that's all you can ask for. These guys here, they're doing what they love. They still do what they love. And we absolutely love to hear what they're doing today as well as back then.
And you got to support it, guys. Make sure you go to Mike's official site, which is miketramp.dk, and get you all of the up-to-date information. His Facebook page, official Mike Tramp, and Twitter. Just follow the guy. Go see one of his shows. It's just it's a very intimate setting. Plays a lot of the White Lion hits acoustically. It is a great way to hear the songs. And Mike's a great guy. He'll hang out and take pictures and sign anything you got. So thanks so much to Mike, and loved the interview. Love bringing you guys the show.
Absolutely.
Great stuff, man.
Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter is the way to get a hold of us. Everybody have a great day, and we will see you next time.